Hey, welcome to Practical Music Theory. In this video, we're going to be talking about how to write a walking bass line. Alright, so this chart is one that I have actually written, and usually it's done in a Latin style, which, although it's done in a Latin style, we can still talk about how to write good walking bass line ideas. Alright. First things first is that a walking bass line is all about the quarter note. You should be changing notes on pretty much every quarter note. Now, your basic setup is going to look like you need to be playing the root of every chord when that chord happens. Now, for this chart, every time you see two chords in a bar, those chords are changing on beats 1 and 3. And so that basically goes and actually gives you a bunch of notes. So I know this first note needs to be D. This note needs to be E. This third note needs to be A. D. E. A. D. G. E. A. Great. And that's basically a rough sketch of really the entire A section. This chart is in the AABA form, meaning you have this first section, then you have this second section, and then the first section repeats. All right. So, really what I need to do is connect the two target pitches. So how can I connect in quarter notes D and E? Well, I can go and I can think about what is one note before where I want to end up. Again, I'm really thinking in terms of targets. So F is a good option. Just going to go F, E. Alright, that's a good option. So now how can I connect D and F? I can go D, E. Now, chromatic pitches are an option, but E sharp is the same as F. Another option I have is shifting octaves. So I can go D. I can make this also a D. Bring it up here. D gives me more real estate per se. C, B. Well, now I have some issues there. All right. I can do the inverse of that. D, E, F, E. That's an option. And that sounds like this. Okay, nothing wrong with that. E. Now, my other options in terms of pitches are fifths. Now, again, most music is actually built in fifths, and we'll see that's actually a super helpful option. Now, a perfect fifth from E is B. And B is also the note right above where I'm going, so that's actually a really good option. Similarly, right from A to D, I can go, I can choose E, because then it's going to go back down to D. Although maybe it would be better to do this. Or not. So that's another valid option. I can play with octaves. Or I can just leave it like that. And I run into this. Perfect. Now, if I'm trying to kill space, right? Again, I'm thinking ahead. How can I land on E? Well, I can go to F. Is a good option. It's also a chord tone here. Perfect. F. F, E. And I've already sort of done the work here, so I can just repeat that. Is a valid option. That changes, so I'll leave that for right now. Great. So D. D. How about D sharp, E, F, E. Okay. Okay, nothing wrong with that. I'll just go one up. And I'm using flats here to show direction of us coming back down. All right. A, I can use a fifth, would put me to E. I can do octaves, but again, I'm thinking about, let's just go ahead and plan where I want to end up. I probably want to end up on E or E flat. So I can go A to A, G. That's close. It misses a note. I can go A to E. That's an option. A, E, F, E, A, E, D, E. D is another option. So let's just stick with that. All right. Again, I need to think a little bit ahead. I need to end up on G. So how about A? Oops, how about I go A, B, A to G. Go D, E, F. That's another option. D, E, F, F sharp. D, E, F, F sharp, G. Okay, that works good. All right, I need to plan ahead. Going into E. So F is a good option. So probably G, D. G, D, D sharp. That still puts me a little bit ahead. G, I'll play with octaves then. G, G, A, B. Still kind of creates an issue for me. All right, so maybe I'll change this note. All right. G, D, E, F, E. There we go, right? So again, playing with octaves really can help open things up and let you see things in a slightly different way. And then again, this essentially is a 2-5. I've already solved it. E, B, A. All right, and I'm going back to D is my next chord. So A, how about E, right? I'll play with fifths. Perfect. And that's a totally fine, walkable, pretty easy to go bass line. And let's hear that A section with the walking bass. And you're going to just hear sort of simple chords, nothing too fancy. All right. I can even repeat the note there. Another option. I can change note values. A really good thing to do is to have this first one be super short. And I'll throw that there. It's going to sound like da-da. You hear that a lot of times in swing playing. So that's a good option. And that turnaround is going to change just a little bit and it'll sound like this. Let's try that one more time. Cool. Now, this is a little bit different than walking bass lines, but it's important to understand in a swing style two really good bass ideas that you have for you. The first is, of course, just walking bass, but sometimes in slower sections it's good to play with what is often called a two feel. And really what a two feel is you're shifting the feel from, 1, 2, 3, 4. And of course, the way that this MIDI is playing is slightly wrong because there's no swing to it. But I can play, in slower sections, a two feel, which is really just shifting from a quarter note pulse feel, 1, 2, 3, 4, into half notes. It's going to make everything feel slightly slower, and is actually going to help break up the sort of monotony of things. And again, with the two feel, the question is, what are your target notes? The question is always, what are your target notes? And what's always a totally good answer is play the root and play the fifth, right? So here we go. My chord is F major. So here's an F. My fifth is a C. I can play F, C. I can play it again. I can do F, C, C, F. Right? Because I'm thinking ahead to this G, right? Always be thinking ahead of where you're trying to go. G, D is my note. How about I go down here? G, D, F. All right. Now, something else that you can do with two feel is occasionally you can sprinkle in some things to connect pitches. So D to F is a really good option of a place I can connect some notes. I can go D, E, F. All right? It needs to be kind of rare because you really need to hear that two feel, which is going to be done only really by half notes. So let's check out that section just to hear what it sounds like. Let's try the whole thing. How about that? Perfect. So I'll just keep filling this out. Okay, F. I need a C. How about I go here? C. All right, sets me up for maybe this F. Need a good C. C. G. D. And then again, two chords, so I know my options are going to be E and A. E, A. Great. Here's something I can connect. Again, I can use chromatic pitches as an option. I can make this feel a little bit faster because I'm going to change back from a two feel into my walking kind of feel. So maybe I speed up the harmonic or sort of the rate at which the pitches are changing. A, E is a good option. E because it's going to go right into D. And then, just for the sake of example and hearing everything all together, I'm just going to copy my walking bass line here and put it there, and then trim off the extra measures. All right, and here's that chart. And then this last is really just a turnaround for the whole thing. So we will just end it right here. All right, let's hear the whole chart. Here we go. And that's it. That's really all there is to it. Again, when in doubt, just do root fifth and always think about what's the root of the next chord that I'm going to. You should always be thinking, in terms of where am I and where am I going? And that's always going to help you answer in the whole, well, how can I fill stuff in between? And that is how to write a pretty basic walking bass line.